Alright, so how's it going, everybody? Welcome back to another video here on the channel. Today, we're going to be asking the question, what would happen if the NHL just completely decided to restart? Everybody gets a fantasy draft, every player is available, and I think this video is going to be, it's going to be super entertaining. It's going to be really awesome to see where players go, exactly where the draft is going to decide where they go, and the fate of some teams. You know, you have teams like Detroit, Arizona, teams like that that are just riddled with problems, and this can all solve that, considering every team is starting from scratch. And you know, they're talking in a pending lockout, so if a lockout happens, what if Gary Bettman's idea to fix the lockout is restart the NHL? Everybody can go wherever, contracts stay the same, but everybody can go to a new team. You don't get to keep anybody. Everybody's getting fantasy drafted, and that's exactly what we're going to be doing today. So this video, it might take a little bit. It might be a little bit longer of a video, so I have no idea what I'm getting into yet. So definitely be sure to like the video and leave a comment on what you guys think of it. Let me know what you think of your team's decision on how they're deciding to go about getting players in the draft, and just after they do, I think we're going to do about a year or two or three. We'll see how it goes and just see what happens in the NHL. But let me know what you guys think of this kind of video. I think it's going to be cool to see what would happen if the NHL were to restart. I chose Calgary because they are my favorite team, but what I'm going to be doing is randomizing the draft position 3 times. So this isn't what it is, so let's go ahead and do that right now. So 1, 2, 3. And so I actually think that we are going to get the 25th pick, starting out first with Columbus, Winnipeg, Anaheim, Washington, Montreal, the top 5. You can see on your screen right there where everybody's going to be picking. Let's go ahead and start this draft and see exactly what is going to happen. So I think anything can happen in this video. Your team can go from being terrible to being great. Let's go ahead and see who got picked where. So Connor McDavid, of course, goes first overall. Number 2 overall, though, Austin Matthews, elite high potential. Surprisingly, not Sidney Crosby. So the Jets are taking Matthews. Columbus is taking McDavid. Hedman's going to the Ducks. Doughty to the Capitals. Line A, again, Crosby hasn't been picked. There he is. He's going to the Isles, island. So I guess they don't have Tavares anymore, but they have Crosby. Line A is a Montreal Canadian. Cooch to Dallas. Stamkos to San Jose. McKinnon goes to LA. Ovechkin goes to Colorado. Eichel goes to Pittsburgh. Patrick Kane to Vancouver. Malkin, Buffalo. Florida is getting Holtby, and so forth. Barkov, there he goes. Bobrovsky is going to Arizona. Scheifele to the Jersey. Tarasenko staying on his team. St. Louis decided they don't want to get rid of him, so they're keeping him. David Pastrnak as well, going to Vegas. So Johnny Gaudreau there, not coming back to Calgary, unfortunately. Ottawa is going to pick him up. Rantanen, actually surprising. There's a lot of other good players, but Chicago deciding to go with Mikko Rantanen. McAvoy to Detroit. Erik Karlsson to the Toronto Maple Leafs. Taylor Hall to the Rangers. And it is our pick now. So let's go ahead and see who's available. So John Tavares, Tyler Seguin. Actually, is there a way to sim the pick or sim the entire draft? Let's just sim the entire draft. We'll see. I'm not going to be in control of this because I think that's biased, and I have the ability to manipulate things and pick different players that have a better chance of progressing. So I'm just going to sim the entire draft. We'll let the computer pick everything. Hopefully we can actually look and see who went where and stuff and go from there. So we're simming the draft. We'll cut back after the simming is done. All right, so let's take a look around the league at which teams got which players. So Panarin there on the Ducks, centered by Horvat and Dadonov. They have Craig Smith, Derek Stepan, Killorn. So they kind of fall off. They kept Ryan Kessler, though. Peter Holland, as well as Charles Hudon and Oscar Lindbergh. So not bad offensively, but again, Victor Hedman, Vlasic, Jake Gardner, McNabb. That's a sick core. Mike Riley there, followed by Neil Pioink. I'm not sure how you say his name, but Anaheim doesn't look too bad at all. It's who they have in net. Jonathan Quick, so Anaheim's going to be a really good team. Let's take a look at Arizona here. So Brandon Saad, Getzlaf, TJ Oshie, Monahan as well. So Arizona has a pretty decent forward core. Definitely drafted very well. Landholm, Barry, Demers, and Colin Miller. So defensive, again, pretty decent as well for the Arizona Coyotes. So Bobrovsky in net. So Arizona is going to be a good team just on the fact that they have 2 good centermen. The wings are lacking a little bit. Their defense is not bad. So let's take a look at Boston now. So Taves goes to Boston as well as Mitch Marner. So that's a sick first line of Silfverberg, Taves, and Marner. But they really fall off after that with like Backlund, Pierlini, and Ferk. And third and fourth line are actually pretty decent third and fourth lines, but compared to overall team from that had a better draft, it's different. So Slavin, Jones, Braun, Nurse there, no problem whatsoever. Hellebuck and Reimer there for them. So Boston, not bad also. Let's look at Buffalo now. So Wayne Simmons, Malkin, and Pavelski. That is a sick first line as well. They have Thomas Hertl, Brian Little, and Letton in there, as well as Reed Boucher, Bozak, and Zaka. So the third line is probably one of the best we've seen. Fourth line's kind of questionable, and defense is definitely a little bit lower. They decided to go with the idea of stacking the forward core, but Torrey Krug there, Provorov, Josh Manson, Nikita Zadorov. So not a bad D-core, but definitely not as good as what we've seen so far. But Devin Dubnyk in net, and I don't even want to try to pronounce Alex's last name because I'm going to butcher it. So backup is very lacking in Buffalo, but man, their forwards look good. They can be a scary team. Carolina, Philip Forsberg, Evgeny Kuznetsov, and Nito Ryder. So that's not a bad first line at all. As well, they have Zetterberg, Palat, and Wenberg. So their second line is also half decent as well. Third line is where they kind of start to fall off, and that's what I'm noticing actually with doing this, is that third and fourth lines kind of fall off. Some teams have a better third line than others, but defensively, Roman Josi, Brady Shea, very good. Eric Johnson and Lindell as well. So again, a very good D-core in Carolina. Who do they have in net, though, is the question, is where did they go? So they have nobody. They decided to go with Tristan Jarry as their starting goalie. So Carolina might struggle in the pipes a little bit. So let's take a look now at the new Connor McDavid Blue Jackets. So they did get McDavid, as well as Jake DeBrusk and Zuccarello, Galchenyuk, as well as Jake Gunsel and Soderberg. So Columbus went full on, just absolutely bolster the center core. They have the best center core we've seen so far. Wings kind of fall off there on the fourth line, but again, they're not terrible. So I think that the fact that their centers are good can make everybody else around them good, as well as they have Noah Hannafin, Tyler Myers, Ben Hutton, Danny DeKeyser. So that first pairing, like when Hannafin gets better, that's going to be a really good first pairing. Who do they have in net? Matt Murray. So Matt Murray and Steve Mason. So again, that's a pretty good tandem. 280 overall goalies. Columbus is probably one of the better, well-rounded teams we've seen so far. Taking a look at Chicago, they have Rantanen, Duchesne, and Valerie Nishkinen, as well as Stefan Nossen, Jonathan Drouin, and Drake Kalaga. I'm not saying that correct at all. Andres Athanasiou and Mekler Carlson as well. Brendan Lemieux. So again, trailing off in the third, fourth line. Defensively, holy crap, Gostisbehere and Pietrangelo. So that first pairing is going to be insane going up against Chicago, as that defense is just going to be crazy. And Pekka Rinne and Eric Comrie in net. So again, very good on the back end for Chicago. So let's take a look at Colorado. Ovechkin, Bergeron, Wheeler. Oh my gosh, that is the best first line that we have seen so far. That's going to put up some insane points. Burkowski, William Karlsson as well. How did they get such good players? Nyquist, Kuhnhackl, Derek Brassard, Ferdinand. Colorado is probably the best offensive team we've seen at this point. Their defense is even half decent. Klefbom and Tanev, as well as Mike Green, Edmondson, Slater Kokic, and Dylan Demlo. So again, very good. Holy crap. Colorado is going to be an absolute monster powerhouse. Philip Grubauer, defensively in net, they're not going to be the greatest team, but honestly, I think that first line is going to put up just insane points this year. Let's take a look at Dallas now. Cam Atkinson, Couturier, Kucherov, Point, Shen, Barchi, Joe Thornton there. Again, another team that's stacked up on the center, so that's very interesting to see. It's going to be interesting to see how Dallas does in defensively. Chara and Burns. That's ridiculous. Chara and Burns, Niskanen and Yandel, Namath and Christian Dew. My gosh, that defense is going to be crazy. Anthony Ranta and Brian Elliott. So again, anything can happen in net for Dallas. Let's look at Detroit now. Nick Ritchie, Tavares, Richard Panik. Why is this team so not good overall? Like, they really... I don't think the Wings got any better with the restart. They got Jesse Puljujarvi. He's going to be really good. Patrick Berglund's a little bit older. Matt Nieto is where... What happened in Detroit? Like McAvoy, Phaneuf, they really messed up. They took Tavares, but then they just didn't draft anybody else. Who they have in net? Ben Bishop and Aaron Dell. All right, I would say probably Detroit is the worst team we've seen so far, and they didn't get any better. Edmonton, Huberdeau, Barkov, and Eberle. So they got Eberle back there in Edmonton. Must really like him. Max Domi, Kalle Jornik, Pierre-Luc Dubois. So again, Edmonton's actually not looking that bad. They got Austin Watson, Jankowski as well, so that kind of hurts him, seeing him go to Edmonton. Defensively, Justin Falk, and then they kind of really trail off after that. Julius Honka back there, though. Who do they have in net, though? That's what I'm curious about. Corey Schneider and Chad Johnson. So not a bad tandem for Edmonton. Maybe that'll fix their goaltending problems. Let's look at Florida. They got Matty Tkachuk, Nick Schmaltz, Sam Reinhart. So again, another team that's, it's deep. They're a deeper team. Like, they are not the best for superstar power, but they're a deeper team. Defensively, again, they're probably one of the best freaking defensive teams I've seen so far. They have Timothy Littlegren as their worst defenseman, but he has really good potential, so he's going to grow, and Florida's going to be insane defensively, and they have Braden Holtby and Craig Anderson in net. So Florida's going to be insane to go up against. McKinnon there, Kessel. But again, they kind of trail off. They have a decent depth, though. Like, their fourth line is kind of whatever. Their third line is good for depth. Defensively, again, they have a really well-rounded D-core, which is interesting. And they have Ryan Anderson, so that's going to be really good. And they have Frederik Anderson in net. So LA is also going to be a really good team. Let's just go ahead and just quickly run through the rest of these teams here, because I don't want to take up an insane amount of time. Schwartz, DeBrincat, Williams, Hosang down there. Let's look defensively. Werenski, get a really good defensive team there in Minnesota. Who do they have in net? Vasilevsky. So yeah, Minnesota is going to be a good team as well. Not really the best forward core, but defensively they're going to be really good. Montreal. Oh my gosh, that's a crazy first line for the Canadiens. Kopitar, Marchand, and Laine. That's going to put up some points. And then they have Arvidsson, Stahl, and Jasper Fast. Again, like, oh my gosh, they had Zibanejad on the third line there in Montreal. The Habs are going to be an absolute insane team with this restart. They have a good defense core too. First line is great. They really fall off on the third line with Giordano and Schultz there on the first line. And then, it's going to be interesting what the Canadiens do. Who do they have in net? They have Peter Mrazek in net, so not the greatest goaltending tandem, but that is okay. Down to Jersey, Brock Besser, Scheifele, and Perry, another good first line. They kept Adam Henrique, Okposo, Bodker there. So again, this team is really deep, which is insane to see. Riley Nash there on the fourth line. McDonough, Dumba. Oh my gosh, New Jersey is going to be a crazy team as well, just looking at that. And they have Varlamov in net, so they have a good goalie. So Jersey, again, going to be a really good team this year. Nashville has Clayton Keller, Sagan, and Lee. Nashville, again, just a really good team, really deep in the center position. Some teams really stacked up in that center position, and they're insane on defense. They have one guy under an 80, so another team that has an insane defensive core, and Corey Crawford in net with Scott Darling backing them up. Like, come on, how did they draft so well? Some teams did so great, and some teams just did terribly. The Islanders have Fleury in net, followed up by Markstrom, as well as Crosby, Perron, and Voracek, so that's a crazy first line. They're really deep. Like, they're really deep. Holy crap. They don't really have any really weak spots. They have 4 79s on the team, but that's not really going to be that bad. And, oh my God, the Islanders are an insane team too. Like, they're just deep. They're not, like, just absolutely littered with superstars, but they're going to be a crazy good, deep team. The Rangers have Ben, Larkin, Skinner, Hall. Hall is a second liner for the Rangers. What is happening? Chris, like, this again, another team that's insanely deep there. Their fourth line is kind of crappy, but that's okay. You don't even need to run a fourth line. They have Lettinen starting, so that's their weak point. The Rangers don't have a goaltender. Ottawa there. A crazy first line with Gaudreau, Backstrom, and Radulov, Kyle Palmieri, Ryan Johansson, and Elias Lindholm. So again, Ottawa, another really good deep team with Sam Steele there. And again, defensively, Ryan Suter and Dmitry Orlov. That's a really good defense look. Malcolm Subban in net. So again, Ottawa has a problem with goaltending. But if Malcolm Subban steps up, and they're going to be really good. Going on to Philadelphia, they have Robin Lehner as their starting goaltender. So again, not great, but not terrible. But Philly, man, what are you doing? The forward core here is just awful. Nico Hischier, Tom Wilson, starting line there. Oh, man, the Flyers did not draft good. Ekblad and Severson, so defensively they're good-ish, I guess. But they're going to be really bad, I have a feeling. Pittsburgh, Pacioretty, Eichel, Kyle Connor. So again, not really crazy. Fourth line kind of sucks. Frolik there on the third line right wing, and 81 overall, so that's pretty insane. But they got Rasmus Dahlin and Jared Spurgeon, so I think Pittsburgh is going to still be a good team. Depends who they have in net. Jake Allen. So we'll see. We'll see what Pittsburgh does. I have no idea if they're going to be good or not. They're going to be all over the place. The San Jose Sharks have Tuukka Rask, though. Starting lineup for them is Landeskog, Stamkos, and Nylander. That's absolutely going to be ridiculous. Stamkos and Nylander on this first line is something that would just be an absolute treat to see in real life. Never going to see it, though. Defensively, again, they have a really good defensive core. Third line kind of falls off a little bit, but again, San Jose did a really good job at drafting. St. Louis, OEL, Buffalo is their first pairing. And I know that they have Tarasenko as well. They have Nemastankov, Kucher, and Tarasenko as their first line. Dvorak, Middlestat. Oh, man. St. Louis did a good job of drafting. Who do they have in net? Lundqvist. Yep, they did a good job of drafting for sure. They're going to be an insane team. Tampa Bay now, Teravainen, Draisaitl, Stone, Johansson, Spooner, Steen, Louis Eriksson, Charlie Coyle. Impressive. Tampa is also a really good-looking team. Very deep defensively, except they have that Brent Seabrook contract. But they kept Seabrook and Keith together, so that's interesting why they would continue to do that. Martin Jones in net for them, so Tampa is a very well-rounded team as well. Going on to Toronto now, Claude Giroux, Tyler Toffoli, Jason Zucker. Toronto fans, this is going to hurt looking at this, Brandon Gallagher, because you don't have Matthews, Tavares, Nylander, and Marner anymore, which is unfortunate. Defensively, Nick Leddy and Erik Karlsson, though, so they did get Erik Karlsson, which is good for them. Who do they have in net? Cam Ward. So, again, very lacking in the net position. Coming on to Vancouver now, Evander Kane, Vincent Trocheck, Patrick Kane. So both Kanes on the same team. Nazem Kadri there. And they kind of fall off after that. Carl Hagman there on the third line for them. Defensively, PK Subban, Shea Theodore. That'll be a good line for them going forward. They have Cal Foote as well. Who do they have in net? UC Soros. So again, and Darcy Kuemper. So they have not a bad kind of backup starting thing. So Vancouver back to the entire two-goalie debate thing. Coming down on the last teams here, Vegas has JVR, Matt Barzal, and Pasternak. That is going to be a filthy line for the Golden Knights. Mantha Kafut and Vanek, Cogliano, Benino, and Timo Meyer. I'm not 100% sure how you say that, but man, they're deep. Holy crap, I just realized that. Abdelkader and Darren Helm on their fourth line with Pegu. Vegas is going to be crazy. Their defense is really where they're suffering with Olio Levy and Stanley there, but Schuster and Morgan Riley, like they're bad defensively. Jeez, they're really bad defensively. And Corpi Salo in net. So defensively, Vegas is going to have problems, but forwards, I don't think they're going to have the problems. I think they're the deepest team here. So James Neal, Matthews, and Marcia Show go to the Winnipeg Jets. That's a good first line. Carter, Ritchie, Hyman, Alex Nylander there. Kind of fall off like some teams. Deep in center position, so that's good. Hickey, Rastalainen. Defense isn't too bad. Chychrun and, they're defensively not bad at all. In net, they have Mike Smith and Cam Talbot, so anything can happen there. Being a person that lives in Alberta, that's an anything can happen tandem. And the Caps now, they have Pavel Bunvech, or I'm butching VH. I'm messing that up. Let me know how to say that in the comments. Ryan O'Reilly, Nick Ehlers. Not terrible. Nolan Patrick there, Oscar Lindbaum as well. So kind of fall off on the fourth line, but you see that all across the league. Matheson, Drew Doughty, Brandon Dillon, Madish, Lemko, Miller. Who do they have in net, though? John Gibson, so not bad. John Gibson and Mike Condon there. So I think that is the NHL, and that is. So let's go ahead and look at what Calgary got as our team, and then we're going to do our first year simulation. So here is our lines for the Calgary Flames. They could have done a better job drafting, but it's not terrible. So we have Aho, Raquel, and Ilya Kovalchuk. Don't know if I would have drafted Kovalchuk, but whatever. Duclair, Hopkins, Krejci, Bertuzzi, Eller, and Nick Kerdiles. I think that's how you say it. I'm not 100% sure. Andrew Kopp, Brandon Dubinsky, and Valtteri Filppula. So, honestly, forwards isn't too bad for Calgary. Defensively, Will Butcher, John Carlson, Goligoski. So we're a deep team. Nate Schmidt, Goligoski, Martin Fisick, and Brandon Gould there. So defensively, we're a deep team. I don't really care about the AHL. Who do we have in net? Gary Price and Carey Price and Lugo is our tandem here in Calgary. So there's our goaltending situation fixed as Flames fans. Man, this is a team that, it's not really superstars, not crazy, but it can make a run. So let's go ahead. We're going to go and sim the first season and see what happens after that, because I think that's how we're going to get to see exactly what's going to happen here in the league. So we'll see after the first season's done. And see what happens there. All right, so the regular season has completed. We are done. We're in the playoffs. I know that. basically want to take a look at what happened in the regular season. Then we'll look at the playoffs real quick and go from there. So our record was 44, 27, 11. That's not bad at all, honestly, considering what happened to the Flames last year. So let's go ahead and take a look at what happened across the league, see where teams finished, and we'll go from there. So here you go. Here's the NHL after the first season of completely being redrafted. Dallas Stars is taking it with 53, 19, and 10. That's a crazy record. Colorado 50 there. 50 wins for Pittsburgh. 48 for the Sabres. So the Sabres are doing good. They are back in the playoff thing. So they're ranked as a first-round team. As well, the LA Kings. Us, we're right there at number 6 in the league. The Ducks, Islanders. The Wings made it. The Wings made the playoffs. Even after their terrible draft. That's all right. I don't know how that works, but it does as well. Nashville, Montreal, Florida, Tampa Bay, Philadelphia, St. Louis, Minnesota is in there. Toronto just losing by, I think, the OT there, or just by, actually, probably goals for, is it? Or what is it? Goals against? How do you get into the playoffs at that thing? I think it's goals against. I don't know. They tied with Minnesota for points, so I think it is goals against, and Minnesota gets in over the Leafs. Capitals there, 18th, 19th. Devils, Bruins, Vegas, New York, Edmonton again at the bottom. Winnipeg, even having that good team, Winnipeg is eliminated. Arizona at the bottom as well. Columbus with McDavid, so again, not in the playoffs. Chicago down there. Vancouver once again. Carolina, Ottawa, San Jose. So San Jose, again, a team I thought that drafted really well, performed really poorly. And there is your thing. So let's take a good look. That's what happened across the league. Let's look at point getters because I'm interested to see who had the most points across the league, and we'll go from there. So with the most points in the NHL this year, Phil Kessel had 92. Patrick Laine had 88. McDavid had 86. McKinnon with 85 there. Malkin with 84. Tavares 84 as well. Drew 83. Kopitar is the last point-a-game player. Ovechkin was a little bit shy there. Who had the most goals in the league would be Malkin with 48, so that's an insane season. 48 goals ain't bad. Too shy of 50. Tavares 40 goals. McKinnon 40 goals. So 3 40-goal players. Everybody else fell below that. Assist. Who is our assist leader? Morgan Rielly with 61 assists for 73 points as a defenseman. That's insane. That's crazy. Phil Kessel had 57 assists. Laine had 56. Barzal. And there are the rest of the players as well. So that's crazy to see. Just basically off of that, just completely redrafting the league. Who is the best player? Who performed the best on their team would be Phil Kessel, honestly. He did insane. So let's go ahead and look at goalies. I want to see who the best goalie was in the entire league. So wins would be Jake Allen with 41 there. Dubnyk, Jonathan Quick, and so forth and so forth. So you can see everybody who got the wins there. Who had the most losses in the league? Tristan Jarry with 32. Kari Lehtinen right behind him as well with 32. Matt Murray had 30, so pretty much even for him. Again, you have there you go. Shutouts, who had the most amount of shutouts? Martin Jones with 10, Matt Murray with 9, and so forth. Best save percentage in the league would have to be Henrik Lundqvist. I think he had 54 games played. Him and Dubnyk, I'm going to go with them saying they had the best 2 save percentages in the league with over 50 starts. What's the minimum? I want to change this a little bit. Let's change the minimum to 20 games. So 20, or let's change it to 30 games. 30 games would be a starter. So looking at goalies, here is your best goalie for save percentage in the league. Lundqvist there, over 30 games of starting, had a 9.34, which is crazy. Dubnyk 9.27, 9.26 for Leonard, which is, again, really good. Carey Price there on the Calgary Flames at 9.25. Goals against average, who had the highest of that, would be UC Soros with a 3.30. And the lowest, again, Henrik Lundqvist with a 2. That's pretty good. Shots faced would be, most shots faced is Marc-Andre Fleury. And, or that's saves made, sorry. Shots faced would be Marc-Andre Fleury anyways. 2,225, so his defense didn't help him out at all. Goals against is Braden Holtby with 187. And who played the most amount of minutes would be Jonathan Quick with 4,419. So there is your goaltending stats. Let's do a quick playoff simulation, see what happens after the first year, and that'll be it for the video. So here is your playoff matchups. In the Western Conference, you have Colorado playing the Nashville Predators, Dallas playing Minnesota, us playing Anaheim, which again is nothing new there, and LA and St. Louis. So again, honestly, if I were to see this and see the regular players on the teams, except for the Eastern Conference, like that's where things might be a little bit questionable. But the West is looking like the West should look or could look any year. Honestly, it just all depends on how teams play. East is a little bit different with the Islanders playing Philly. Yeah, that's a little strange. Pittsburgh and Tampa Bay isn't strange at all. Detroit and Montreal, though, that's weird. And Buffalo and Florida is also very weird as well. So let's go ahead. We're going to sim the playoffs, see who makes it to the Cup, who's going to win the Cup. Let me know down in the comment section down below, and let's get this finished. Because I'm honestly super excited to see what's going to happen. Does Calgary win a Cup? I think that'd be fantastic. We got to get past Anaheim, and that's never good. But I'm rooting for my team, even though I'm not doing anything. So we'll see. So there you have it. The Buffalo Sabres are the Stanley Cup champions. Everybody in Buffalo got to be super happy about that. We ended up losing to Anaheim in a hard-fought first-round battle there. Went 7 games, but let's look at the playoff tree and see exactly what happens. So Nashville beats Colorado in a sweep 4-0. Dallas and Minnesota go 7, where Dallas wins that series. We lose to Anaheim in 7 on the last game, which is unfortunate, and LA sweeps St. Louis. So second-round matchups are Dallas and Nashville, LA and Anaheim. So we're going to look at the Eastern Conference now. Islanders beat Philly. Pittsburgh sweeps Tampa. Detroit and Montreal go 7, and Montreal wins it. And Buffalo and Florida go 7, and Buffalo wins it. So that's always good. So second-round matchups in the East is Pittsburgh and the Islanders, Buffalo and Montreal. Going back to the West, it took 6 games, but Nashville was able to beat Dallas, and it took 6 games, but the LA Kings were able to beat the Anaheim Ducks. So the LA Kings and the Nashville Predators are your Western Conference final, and Pittsburgh beats the Islanders in 6 games, and Buffalo beats Montreal in 6 games. So that is your Eastern Conference final, Buffalo and Pittsburgh. Going into both conference finals, both took 5 games. LA winning 4 of the 5, obviously, and beating Nashville to go to the Stanley Cup, and Buffalo winning 4 out of the 5 to beat Pittsburgh to go to the Stanley Cup. Stanley Cup, though, was 7 games, 2 very good teams playing against each other, but Buffalo is going to walk away with the Stanley Cup. So congratulations to every Buffalo Sabres fan out there. Your team won the Stanley Cup if the NHL were to completely restart. So again, here we go. Here we're looking at things. As you can see, Buffalo Sabres win the Stanley Cup. President's Trophy goes to the Dallas Stars. The Clarence Campbell Bowl, that goes to LA as per usual, and Buffalo wins the Prince of Wales. Art Ross goes to Phil Kessel. Hart goes to Phil Kessel. James Norris goes to Morgan Riley. The Lady Bing goes to Phil Kessel as well. So Phil Kessel is just having a year. The Calder goes to Svechnikov. Conn Smythe goes to Malkin. Vezina goes to Lundqvist. William N. Jennings goes to Antti Ranta. Bill Masterson goes to Jarmelson. Selke goes to Bergeron, as he normally does. It's the Bergeron Kopitar Trophy. Lindsay goes to Kessel. Richard goes to Malkin. So that's a crazy year for all those guys. Kessel had an absolute insane year and just tore things up. So that's what would happen if the NHL were to completely restart. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. If you want to see more videos on this, let me know, and I will go ahead and we'll do another year or 2, something like that. Let me know down in the comments, because if you don't, then I'll just I'll leave this as it is and we won't go back to it. But if you guys are interested in seeing more of what happens in the NHL going forward, let me know. I think this was super cool to see. It's insane to think that Buffalo is your Stanley Cup champions, and Detroit made the playoffs even with how bad they drafted. But hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. I definitely thought it was a fun video. It was definitely fun to see what would happen if the computers completely drafted a team. And you know, the NHL changed a little bit. Didn't change a heck of a whole lot in the Western Conference, but the Eastern Conference changed a lot. And Buffalo Sabres are the new powerhouse. So if you guys did enjoy the video, definitely be sure to leave a like. Let me know what you guys want to see on the channel here in the future going forward in the comments section. And if you're new to the channel and haven't hit the subscribe button, definitely be sure to do that, because we have tons of NHL 19 videos coming out. So once again, I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I will talk to you guys next time.